Hi, how are you? It's a mixed feeling to feel relieved when someone passes away. As a lawyer entrepreneur, I meet a lot of people that have lost their loved one or family member recently. And it's of course one case to feel relieved if the deceased was very sick or ill before they died and suffered a great deal. Then you can feel relieved. Or if you were the only caretaker and took care of somebody that was very ill for their last days, that could be very burdensome and you might feel relieved. But what I'm talking about is another kind of feeling. Is that kind of feeling that you are mourning, yes, and you are sad, but suddenly you notice that you are feeling joy and happiness and relief. And that's the odd thing. It's how to accept all those feelings that you are feeling and thinking, are they right or are they wrong? And is there something wrong with you when you feel this way? But there is not. I don't think so. Not if you are a sane person. One thing that one of my clients said describes it great, the best. She said that she's free for the first time in her life and can do what she actually wants to do without being afraid that somebody criticizes her. And this was about half a year after her mother passed away. This lady is about 10 years older than I am, so somewhere in the 60s. And she felt free for the first time in her life. There is of course many kind of situations, but in these situations that I'm talking about, there was very strong connection, bond, control, what you want to address it, between daughter and mother. Of course there were siblings and everything, but the daughter was the mother's special project. And they held quite a strong grip on their daughters' lives and tend to dictate what they do and where they live and how they work and where they come and go, even though they lived in a different household. And these mothers might have even bought the houses or apartments for their daughters and their families, and that's one way of using blackmail or extortion, by just mentioning every now and then that you are living here only because of me. And of course you can have this kind of a power by saying that I can offer this and that for your children so their life would be easier if you just do as I want you to do. And that's the blaming and the guilt laying all the time. You might think that these mothers were somehow or had some narcissistic traits, and I do suppose so. Because by meeting them, they appeared to be very nice ladies, strong-willed, but sensible and nice. But the strong will addresses their daughter differently. They want to control them, and they do not see themselves as separate, but their daughters to just continuance of themselves, some puppets to play with. And that kind of situation you can end up easily. Some daughters break free from that kind of bond with their mother, but it usually ends up in total isolation, no contact, no communication at all. But of course you may think that why didn't they break free before? Why didn't they just live their own lives? But it's not that easy. We all know that People are not just getting married with the violent persons. No, if you get beat up before your wedding, you don't get married. Or most of us shouldn't or wouldn't with that person. But it starts gradually. So even if you are adult, you might end up in very odd relationships that are not good for you, but you cannot break free because it starts slowly. First it's a little bit and okay, I'm sorry, and then it's a little more, and no, it's actually your fault, and no, I'm sorry. But that's another issue. But compared to the perfectly normal persons that end up in violent relationships, to end up being some kind of a feeling of dependent of your mother is something totally different or much more understandable, given the fact that the same mother has raised you. So her reality is the first reality, and in most cases the only reality that you actually know. And if in that reality, mother is the first priority always and her will, it's quite hard to break free from that if you do not do it in the teenage years when you have the biological urge to get the distance from your mother and from your original family. But if you don't manage to do it then what? Then you end up, in these cases, serving your mother like in everyday life. Every day. 24/7. 365 days in a year. And if you never break free, if you never get holiday, that's your reality. You cannot leave. You dare not leave. And they make you feel it, that you should not leave. And it's quite sad if you think that you live your own adult life, the whole life, for somebody else that you haven't chosen, for somebody else that wants this and wants that, and wants you to live your life in a certain way, because there usually are no limits. There are no boundaries that what are your own issues. They stick their noses to absolutely everything. And with their wills, they continue to do that after they pass away. And of course, there is the other side. If you think who stays and who goes and who argues, is that if you are strong-willed and hard-headed, you don't mind the occasional fight, however dirty it would be, with your mother in your teenage years or later, and you break free no matter how controlling they want to be or how much they want to enslave you. But if you are a sensitive person, if you don't want to fight, if that's a great burden to you, then you don't break free. You can't. And even a little bit more subtle approach to things makes you stay and makes you silent. And that's not your fault. Being a sensitive person is not your fault. It's a great richness in life if you dare to live with the other half of the people that are not so sensitive and are not so nice and kind. But if you are a kind person, then you stay, take care, and be relieved after they pass away. So given the life that you have lived, it's perfectly understandable to feel relieved, and you are allowed to your feelings. And basically we cannot control how we feel, and it doesn't hurt anyone. So if we feel a certain way, it's not going to be the end of the world, or it's not going to hurt anyone. It's just our feelings, and we are allowed to feel them, and we should feel them and acknowledge how we feel, because that's something that guides us through life. But of course we don't and we shouldn't act on our feelings just like that, but to think what we tell to other persons. But that was my thoughts on why you might feel relieved when somebody passes away. And that's normal in certain circumstances and understandable. You're not insane, you're not cruel. It's just a shame if it took you so long that you be able to enjoy your life and make decisions about your own things. But it's worth it. This is your only life, so you are allowed to enjoy it, and you should. I hope you have a great day. I see you soon. Goodbye.